And can you tell us a little bit about, from your background, how is a company like Shine, who is also very doing very well with a lot of successes, etc., but that's, even though they're kind of the cool kid in the old media, it's still old media. How are they preparing into all these changes?
So first of all, I'm not talking for Shine anymore. Just
just
legal disclaimer touch. It's an interesting challenge for traditional production companies, because the reality is that the whole business is geared around try to produce as expensive as you can. You make a margin on the production, and that's quite a conflict with when you try to produce to the internet, because you need to produce as cheaply as you can, and then you try to make the upsell and the other way around. So it requires a lot of relearning. Different production companies have different approaches. Some of them just create a complete new team that's focusing around that after 3 to 6 months you see is starting to fight with the main team because it's cannibalization and all of that stuff. Others are starting to grow it from the inside and are trying to build it like from the heart of it. I think what some of them doing very successful at the moment is try to think bigger. I think what saves the big production companies is the big live events, is the big shows. It's like we need to separate different type of content, but obviously a Homeland, Breaking Bad, that's something that will take a long, long time until the economics are right for somebody from the internet to successfully capture that market. The area where it's different is around daytime TV. That's the part that will be disrupted first, because that's easier to do. So that's my view in that area at the moment.
Okay, and I think Ran wants to comment something on that.
Yeah, I'll slightly disagree for you, but
okay, thank you very much. We have our first disagreement of the morning.
I know that Netflix is not powerful in Israel because they have a lot of restriction rights, etc., so people can use them. I adore Netflix. Like, for me, it's the most interesting company right now in the internet. And when I came to New York 5 years ago, it was still a DVD business. And when you talk to Reed Hastings, who is the CEO, they always had a plan to do what they're doing right now. And there was House of Cards, and so many words were basically spoken about House of Cards. But they asked Reed Hastings, are you trying to go after HBO? Are you trying to basically disrupt HBO? And his answer was hell yes. And they asked him, why do you think you can do it? And he said something that I think is so important. He basically said, I just think I can become HBO way faster than HBO can become Netflix. And what he really meant, no disrespect to content people, was that moving from technology to content is an easier and more doable task than moving from content to technology. So the big companies, the traditional companies, as long as they don't figure out the new distribution, because they're all hooked to the cables that are unplugged below our house, and that's what really gives them the distribution. If they don't adjust, and adjusting to the new technologies, the 4 screens, the mobile, how do you really drive content, how do you fight fragmentation, a lot of stuff that are technical by definition, but really we're building the next cable infrastructure. And on that, the minute you have that, it's so easy to start taking content people from their companies into ours and move the whole ecosystem into the new infrastructure. And I think the traditional companies just don't see it because it doesn't happen now. They saw music, they saw print. I don't think most of them understand that it's coming, that they're the next, which is awesome as entrepreneurs.
Excellent. So I think Yoel wants to fight back.
I definitely not disagree with you on that. I just think in terms of the time frame, we're looking at a bit longer time frame. I mean, I'm on the other side now, so it's great for me if that happens sooner than later. But realistically, I think in the time frame, if you look at the money in the traditional ecosystem and effectively how inefficient or efficient it is until we disrupt the 30 billion that comes into that space, how many 100 million productions can a Netflix do in the short term? I mean, they need the content from the traditional ecosystem to feed the new ecosystem. So I agree. I just think it's going to take a good couple of years until this system really works on scale. Having said so, we've seen amazing new production companies which are producing at the hundreds of the traditional costs, and the quality is HBO. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's amazing quality. It's still the traditional system. There's a traditional talent that drives a lot.
And actually, for to comment about Netflix, I don't know, the exact percentage now, but they're still, I think, making more money on their DVD rentals than on most of their other businesses, and they have more on-demand subscribers than Comcast, for instance. So they have still a lot of room to grow. And as a tech guy, I have to love this approach of the tech start. So let's
just to quickly comment. The YouTube network, some of them, the good ones, they're trying to build themselves as a new media company with a very strong tech arm. Full Screen, Maker Studios, I would mention those two. They really invest on the tech, and they actually told us, they want to recruit people in Israel. They said, oh, you have so many talented people, we need to bring them over. So they very focused on that.
And I think this is, again, a great transition to the next question, because, okay, there's a lot of content. AOL is doing a lot of new shows. Shine is still preparing for the new market. Uri and guys like this are creating more and more content. A lot of static content is getting delivered as video in many ways. So there's a lot of content. Or let's even just get the audience involved a little bit. Who watches TV on the plasma or a flat screen in the living room? Yeah, TV. Yeah. Okay, so everybody, except for my mom, are raising my hand, but I can admit she's not watching TV at all. So, thanks for asking. How many of you are watching any form of video on TV on your computer? How many of you watch TV on your cell phones now? Again, any form, short form, long form, YouTube, etc. So everybody, how many feel that you still don't necessarily find the right content, that it's still hard, you still don't know exactly what's going on, what you're missing, what is the show or thing you would like to see but can't? Who had this feeling? Okay, so I see there's a lot of discovery experts here, but let's see how you think we'll adjust to that.
One of YouTube's biggest problem, which is really helpful for us because we get a lot of content as a result of that, is that YouTube are not programming at all. So YouTube is really a democracy, it's a platform. This is how they see themselves, by the way. It's like they would say, put your content and go to work. They're not choosing. They're not saying, here is what you should. If you go to YouTube's homepage, it's algorithms that are really running the show. And the biggest problem I think the TV buyers have with that, by the way, is that the internet almost took programming out of the equation, right? What's really nice on TV is that there's someone that tells you what to watch, and they're doing a good job, therefore you like the TV channel. And YouTube is not really doing that. I think it would hurt them long term. And since it's an open platform, since most of the video companies are open platforms, since someone can now take our discussion in a cell phone with low quality and upload it to the web, I think that's the biggest problem that the internet have, that someone needs to start pulling out what matters, and it will be a small amount of videos. And what I really think is interesting about the video landscape, and that's why I don't think TV stations, etc., are going to get disrupted the way newspapers did and music did, is that it's hard to create a video. It's actually a very complex narrative for storytelling, and therefore UGC, in my opinion, most of it, I mean, Uri is not even UGC, he speaks to makers because someone chose him. Well, most of it sucks. And discovery for online video, we put a lot of money behind it. I think that the people that would figure it out are going to be the next curators, and you would come to them because they would tell you what to watch, and they will give you good recommendations. There's a lot of room there.
Okay, so that's going to change the industry completely.
Discoverability?
Yeah, if the discoverability are the gatekeepers, and that's where you start, that's a whole new...
But they already are the gatekeepers when it comes to print. Like, look at HuffPost, look at Saluna. It's like gatekeepers is the new profession. Curation is as important as creation. And that's the bottom of it, yeah.
Okay, that's I have to say that's a good insight.
It's a holy grail by all means. Discoverability, figuring out discovery of online video content, big holy grail. Whoever will crack this thing even slightly has an amazing thing in his hands. When I show a few presentations to TV people around the world, I show them the slide about discoverability in YouTube. I show them how it looks like from the perspective of a YouTube publisher, and I tell them, this is a big challenge for you. It's going to be tough. You better find the ninjas who know how to understand this area. Understand the algorithms as much as you can. You cannot really game this system. but at least you have to have these skills in your company if you really want to do something in YouTube. I definitely agree with Ran. I think that trying to understand how YouTube works from a technology company, as always they say, first, there is a chance they will introduce some sort of programming, maybe a little bit similar to Hulu, because they have to if they want to keep the big players with the big advertising money. That's the one good thing the TV industry still has, the money from the advertisers, which YouTube really wants. And I would imagine that they would try to come with the Google approach, which means, okay, let's find a new way to create a programming. And I would imagine it would be as a crowdsourced thing, through your fans, through the people, through the social aspect. So let's build the tools that will shape the new programming method using, the platform that we build and the communities that we've created.
So in
they're
other
going
words,
there with Google+. That's what they're doing now.
Just to interrupt you, so just ask a question. So you think it's not, so you don't see the direction to this discoverability, as you say, it's still things that need to be developed?
From a general point, of course, if you come tomorrow with a great idea for video discoverability, the whole online video world would want to do something with you. So you have a great thing within YouTube. If you're, a YouTube publisher and you're like, okay, I have to use what YouTube gives me, my guess would be that they would try to present it through their tools and the ability to tie it within the social aspect.
Excellent, thanks.
Just one remark. The Google approach has never dealt with content. And the Google approach when it comes to content, I think, is the biggest problem that YouTube has. Because Google approach is, we want all of you out and we want to replace you with machines. Google tries to replace us with machines. Really, that's kind of like, if you can bring machines to do it, why people should do it. I'm not sure it works from premium content. And I actually think that they struggle because the human angle of putting someone that would help you, like Pandora style, where the algorithm is very human, and that's why people like it. I think that when it comes to discovery, actually the fact that Google insists that machines will tell us what to watch is almost against the essence of what premium content is.
Yeah, I actually agree, but let's hear Yoel, and I will say something about that when we finish this round.
So, fully agree. There's one point that's most interesting for me, and it's about what the internet is really great at, is like super serving niches. If you're a fan of, my partner always said, if you're a fan of East Asian street cooking, then it will be really tough for you to find any good content on TV at the moment. There might be one show at 9 p.m. for 10 minutes. If you're a fan of East Asian street cooking and you go to the East Asian street cooking channel, you will find exactly what you want at the time that you want it, and it's produced at a level that's affordable for the producers and for you to consume. So for me, that's where it's going to start to improve the quickest. Super serving the niche, identifying. So for example, there's a big YouTube network out there called StyleHole. I don't know who of you have seen it.
Big?
StyleHole. It's Stephanie. Yeah.
Big as in big.
Big in terms of everything. So let me give you a second about it. Stephanie's the founder. She's based in the US. They focus on the beauty and fashion girls. So what they started to do is they realized that a lot of girls in their bedroom looking at how to do makeup tips, how to look like Jennifer Aniston, how to look like whoever you want to look like. And this content wasn't really available on TV. So she started a network around it. There are like a couple of hundred YouTubers who are producing content for that every day, which I'm relatively certain none of you in the room would consider quality content. The girls who are watching it completely disagree. She has, I don't know the exact numbers, a couple of billion views on the platform by now. So it's a massive market. Bertelsmann, the German media company, just invested in her. So there's some interest from the traditional media companies in looking at that space. And I think that's a model that's really interesting in terms of how do you get to the bottom of what discoverability should target? Like, how do you really solve the issue around what is interesting for me? Because what's interesting for me in fashion might be very different to what's interesting for you in fashion. So who are the curators out there who are targeting what I want to see, and how can I kind of link into their network and they can show me what they believe is the right content for me. So that's kind of one of the aspects that I find really, really interesting. Now just a word of caution, this is different for high-end scripted drama, which is targeting like mass markets. We will need to separate between like the high-end scripted stuff, which is a mass market appeal, and I mean Breaking Bad, I guess like half of the people in the room love it, and the very, very targeted niche content. And for me, it's going to start with the niche stuff, because that's what TV cannot do and will never be able to do effectively, and then it's going from there.
Yeah, so just my personal thoughts about the discoverability aspect. First, I agree with Ron. I think the human aspect is very important and everything becomes more social. So social will be a key part. It's already becoming, not in any standardized or organized tools, but I think in prime time hours, more than half of the traffic in Twitter is about TVs, especially when there's a big live, real-time show, like in sports, news, reality sometimes. So it's already in the social world, and I think personally, again, it's not set in the stars, and somebody can come with an idea that we don't think of and change that as well. But I know, for instance, that like Ron, my mother is here, so I'll say it like this. We like the fine arts channel and the literature, high literature channel and all the quality channels. And so I will try to see what he recommends to watch, because I know I can trust his taste. Whereas Uri, who's just into things about horror and corpse and blood, etc., is not necessarily what I would watch. So getting some advice and getting some ideas of what other people is a key fact. And again, I think it will be a long time until computers will be able to emulate that properly.
Just one thing. One of the big powers of YouTube is that it's a great R&D tool for content in terms of piloting. And there was a big deal recently. DreamWorks Studios bought a network called Awesomeness TV. It's not one of the big networks, but they paid $33 million because Awesomeness has an amazing way to reach a very highly targeted audience that DreamWorks really want to target. And so that they use Awesomeness TV as a pilot, as an R&D mechanism. They try new formats on YouTube, and then they take it to the big TV. So in YouTube you can really gain a lot of insights, what people want to watch, how they react to it, and then use this knowledge and insights to produce something in big scale. So I hope, in my point of view, I will be able to provide it for this genre, and yeah, hopefully it will be relevant.